What's going on, people? CP3, aka Black Dr. Phil, in the lab, Sports on the Hill podcast. Week 8, Redskins, Cowboys, ugly loss. I don't even feel like talking about the final score right now. Oh, man. I don't even know how to even get into this right quick. That blocked field goal was the momentum changer of this game. It definitely dictated. Cowboys scored 19 unanswered points after that momentum swing. Unfortunately, the Redskins couldn't get it together until that last drive in the fourth quarter where they were able to get that touchdown by Josh Doctson, aided by the pass interference on the goal line, which was a warranted call, unlike Troy Aikman said. I wouldn't say they didn't give a shit, Sith Lord. It was a divisional game. There was a lot of plays to be made. There's a lot of loose balls that was the defense didn't come up with. Cowboys took advantage of the turnovers they got. Chris Thompson on the kickoff return. I said something about overusing him. My question is, for the second week in a row, you have a running back that gets no touches. Now you cut Mac Brown, and you got the rookie active. Sit the rookie tight end, knowing Jordan Reed isn't 100%. But yet the rookie doesn't get in the game for the second week in a row, but he's active. That position could have been taken by the tight end if we could at least had 2 healthy tight ends instead of 1. Kurt, this is one of his worst games of the season. Yeah, Daniel, I'm pissed too. Jay has to coach better, indeed. The first half, his game plan was pretty good, but he didn't make any adjustments in the second half, and his play calling became predictable. Simple as that. Robin, you're right. They couldn't catch the ball. They didn't make the plays that were there. Simple as that. I'm not going to say it's all on Kurt, but I'm not going to say it was all on Kurt. And unfortunately, they didn't step up and make the plays that was there. There were several times the ball was loose in the secondary. We didn't come up with it. Dallas, they did at the times when they got the turnovers. So this was a team loss. I know folks are going to point the finger at Kurt. I'm pointing the finger at Jay. And I got to point the finger at, the defense for not stepping up and taking care of the turnovers when they were there. I got DC People's Champ joining us in. Normally we had Robbie joining in, but we brought in another True Radio Network contributor, my man DC People's Champ, Ken. You can also follow him on the network. He's taking a little hiatus right now, but he on live with us now. What's up, Ken? How you feeling tonight, bro? How you feeling after this loss? I know you got something to say. Go ahead, Ken. Can you hear me over there, Ken?
Yeah, I got you, man. I got you. It's like it was coming in a little slow.
Oh, a little delay. Yeah, sometimes we get that with the split screen. But yeah, it is Jay's fault, because, I point the finger at him off the break. What you got to say, Ken?
What I got to say is I don't want to hear, people making excuses saying, injuries. This is football. Injuries happen. There are guys who are backups that are prepared, that should be prepared to be number ones with their numbers called. And today showed that a lot of them weren't prepared. I think that Gruden didn't call a bad game, but he didn't call a good game. And, the weather conditions weren't very good, but both teams had to deal with it. So you can't use that as an excuse. Both teams had to deal with it. So, the bottom line is the Cowboys outplayed the Redskins. There's nothing else to say.
Pretty much. I was thinking the same thing. The better team won. Cowboys had a better game plan, executed better. And, they have injuries, but we were losing people left and right, especially in key positions. Yeah, because there was no vertical attack this game. And they really didn't have a chance to, because they didn't get any type of running attack to try to open up the play-action pass game. When they did use play-action, they were effective. But unfortunately, when you don't run the ball, the defense isn't going to fall for it that often when they know you're not going to run. Victoria says
Yeah,
Gruden has not realized in our past whenever we win it's a run game, and Kirk can getting better, but he ain't no Brady, and he can throw the ball the whole damn game. But look at the
let me,
Cowboys came back, all true,
here's the
all true.
thing. Here's the thing though. CP3 is that Kurt seems to play a little bit better in bad weather, though. As the weather got worse, it seemed like Kurt couldn't get any better. You saw he underthrew a couple balls, including there in the fourth quarter with Josh Dotson. Luckily, he got lucky, got a PI call, and he turned around and got it to Dotson to get the touchdown to get within 7. But Kurt was not on as he normally is. He's very accurate, and he wasn't accurate today. Pryor was a non-factor again, and I'm not. I mean, the wide receivers in general were not very effective today. They weren't very effective, except for Crowder. Crowder had a great game today. Like, he had over 100 yards receiving. So they looked for him to have a big game, and he finally had one. But he couldn't do it all by himself.
It was definitely I called for Crowder to step up first in my pregame, and I said they had to get some chemistry together. Kurt, like you said, he didn't have his best game. He was throwing high, he was throwing late, he was throwing behind. But the receivers have to catch the ball when the ball did get there. If it hits your hand during the NFL, you're supposed to come up with it. Ryan Grant had 2 drops today. Normally he's short-handed. So I'm going to chalk it up to the rain. Unfortunately, that's not an excuse, but it happens. But I guess I'm more disappointed in the special team. Because, like I said, I jumped out there early in the season, said they were going to be, a unit that was going to help the team win some games. And this year they haven't done that. And they've been disappointed in the game. I mean, I can't really blame them for that block field goal. Kirk that getting rid of the ball cost them an extra 5. The bad snap, low kick, block field goal, hindsight 2020. Kirk should have got rid of the ball. Special teams has been doing
I gotta call my boss.
Jameson Crowder, I don't go with him returning punts. I never liked Chris Thompson returning kickoffs. And they hurt us on too many levels in this game today we could overcome, especially with the offensive line being like it was. So it was just like the team tried to stand as much as they could, but all the injuries, Dallas offensive line, and Zeke, it was unfortunate no way to stop what Dallas was doing.
I'm gonna tell you something also. Dallas offensively. Dallas offensively really couldn't get anything really going. Early on in the game they got things going, but then the defense was able to stand tall. But the problem is when your offense is not stay on the field long enough and not continuing drives and things like that, your defense wears down, and you lose Kerrigan during the game. You already didn't have Breland. Norman's in his first game back after a rib injury. Fuller was getting treated like a redheaded stepchild. I'm sorry to say, he got treated badly against Dez, man. Dez was owning him. I don't know why Norman was not on him from the beginning, and I think that they finally realized that and switched it because Fuller couldn't hang with Dez. But bottom line is, defensively, they did all they could. But when you don't have the support of your offense, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I was there. We're running a lot of zone. A lot of folks was asking me how come Norman wasn't on Dez locked down. Because with the injuries we have, we're not getting enough pressure. And with all the crossing routes and the rub routes that the Cowboys do, with us going man, with rookies out there, it was going to be too easy for them. But with the zone, at least it gave us a chance. If we got some pressure, we can close those windows and try to get to the ball, corral, and no yak yard. So we didn't give up any yards after the catch, but Zeke got a lot of yards after contact, which also can hurt your defense, which it did. Let me get to some of these comments real quick.
Yeah, shout out to my homegirl Mina watching and speaking. Shout out to Mina. What up, Mina? I know
Hey,
I'm
man,
disappointed too, baby girl.
yeah, man, appreciate everybody tuning in and chiming in. Victoria, yeah, you're right. We don't run the ball. Under pressure, the defense gets worn out on the field too long. We talk about that all the time. Yeah, because Gruden always looking for a reason to throw the ball. Like I said, I think it's that Arena League background that just keeps on. This just keeps him throw. Kurt has nobody to depend on in the passing game. That's true. He doesn't have faith in anybody because everybody's, trying to get used to their new spots. Unfortunately, you got to learn on the fly, and they haven't built that relationship with that chemistry yet. Hopefully, going down the road, they can, build something. And
Steven agrees. Steven agrees. Norman should have been on Bryant from the very beginning. Like I said, Fuller couldn't handle Bryant, and it showed throughout the game. Man, what up, though?
Well, with Fuller, they haven't put him on the outside at all. I thought they would, but they've been putting the rookies out there. With them putting him out there on Dez, that was a kind of surprise to me because he's played mostly nickel and slot. So to me, that was like them just trying to make an adjustment just to see if they could make something happen. Unfortunately, it didn't, pan out in our favor, but ain't like Dez really went off. So, I mean, it was a chess game, and unfortunately, the Cowboys came out on top. They had, their offense is more, consistent. They have they stick to the run, and they have the best offensive line in football. So you compile that with injuries and a worn-out defense in the fourth quarter. This is the recipe of what you get. Simple as that. And this is what I said at the beginning.
Hey, Victoria, I want to throw punch Aikman too. I can't stand him.
Say what that? So who that again?
Victoria says she wants to throw punch Aikman. I'm right there with her. I do too. I can't stand that dude. I can't stand
comment about the drop when it was a wet ball, when it was the Cowboys, when it was the Redskins, it was a blatant drop. That right there showed that sometimes he's impartial, but you always know who he's rooting for. But some of the comments you sit there like, why don't you just let it pass? You don't have to say everything that comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, that's
all
a
right,
problem.
Todd says we out-coached, out-hustled, same shit, different year. I can say they were out. They were out-hustled in some aspects. They weren't getting to the ball when they could. Like I said, there was opportunities for the defense to, get a turnover when we needed one. But once again, the defense came out playing well. They held the Cowboys to 4 field goals, 3 of those in the red zone, and you saw the numbers that they put up on the screen. So you can't really say the defense didn't play. They played. They just didn't have any help from the offense. And you can only be on the field for so long, especially when you got backups out there who are getting their first snaps on the defense and not knowing, they want to be mistakes made. We didn't have any, big blown plays. We just got, outplayed and outcoached in a close game that, the score doesn't look as close at the end of the game. But, I mean, it was a classic division game. And we were injured going in, in key positions. And we took some key injuries during the game, which compounded it and made it a little bit tougher.
Sorry, I'm looking at NFL Game Day highlights, and I saw the play with the Bears receiver who had his leg injury in the end zone. It looked nasty. But CP3, I got a question for you. How concerned are you about Jordan Reed that he has another injury that knocked him out of the game today?
I mean, I've spoken on the Jordan Reed thing. Everyone else said how soft he is. I keep reminding folks, he went into University of Florida as a quarterback. So he's never had to block before. So all these nicks and bumps and bruises that he's getting is because he's not used to the contact. He's only been playing tight end since his sophomore year in Florida. So 5 years. So you're talking about 8-9 years of playing tight end, getting hit for real, and his body isn't used to it. The hamstring, all these injuries, I'm starting to think are attributed to the soft training camp because we know what they did in this training camp. You saw how the offense looked, and you saw how the team looked soft. Coming out the first week against the Eagles, they looked unprepared, looked like they weren't ready to play football. So I'm thinking all these injuries, these strings, and all these other injuries are from soft training camp. And last year we had injuries, but we didn't have them like this. I mean, losing key players in the game and for weeks at a time, we got to look at our training department. So with Jordan, as long as he can get on the field, he's a factor. Even if he catches the ball or not, he's a mismatch, the defense has to worry about. So as long as he's on the field, he's helping his team, in my opinion. But when you have Jeremy Sprinkle, who you drafted to be a tight end, to play in his offense, and Jordan Reed's injury history, why would you make him inactive, starter, and had a running back active and not use the running back at all? Last week he did the same thing. He set 3 offensive linemen, had Mac Brown active, didn't use him one time, and we lost linemen, and we had to use the backup to the backups instead of having the people that we, had to shuffle this week. So these are coaching decisions. These are preparation things that you have to think about going into a game that goes into game planning. And this is what I say: when Jay's coaching maturation is not coming along as fast as it should. It's these are things that you should know. And like I said, I was coaching boys and girls club, and I can think about these things. He's a professional NFL coach, so why isn't he thinking about these things?
Yeah, you think about it, look at what happened when you lose. You had Jordan Reed go down, and you also had Niles Paul go down. So you basically had one healthy tight end. That was Vernon Davis. When you had your other healthy tight end inactive, healthy scratch, and you have how many running backs you had active? 4, and you only used 2 of them. Rob Kelly
2.
and you leave Rob Kelly and Thompson. Samaji didn't see the field. Mack didn't see the field. Why are they active
Now, Matt,
if they're not going to see the
Matt
field?
got cut. Remember, Matt got cut for Ari Kwanjo to come back.
Wait, Mac Brown got cut?
You missed that. That he got cut on Thursday when they had to bring Ari back. So it made it more imperative that they had Samaje and didn't give him the ball.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
man.
and I'm seeing all the comments, and I think a lot of people agree with us that one, Reed is soft, and 2, our coaches are not doing what they're supposed to do in terms of prep and preparing for injuries or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the comments now. My cousin saying Reed is soft. He's still a sophomore. I love my cousin. Yeah, Machiavelli. Yeah, the Redskins don't have nothing to be ashamed of. The Cowboys did steal this one. I mean, that block field goal was a huge momentum swing. And like I say, I'm not going to put it on Kurt, but this is the second week in a row where he's taking a bad sack at a bad time instead of getting rid of the ball. He's been looking like a deer in the headlights sometime. I don't know if the passing of his grandmother and him being a new father is interfering with his thinking or whatever, but ever since those things have happened in his life, he hasn't been as sharp on the field that he was before. So I don't know. Like I said, I ain't gonna chalk it up, but the way he's played this last game, he's not helping his cause of getting that big contract from here somewhere else with him playing for the contract year.
The ginger though.
Let's see who else. Let's see. We got some more comments coming in. Melvin says Gruden is not a good coach. Agree. My cousin said it's all on Jay. Yeah, Jay is the problem. He makes some strides. He takes 3 steps forward, but then he takes 5 steps back, and that really kills me. Hey, thanks, Victoria. Hey, Gruden needs to listen to this. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I'm gonna ask Diane on tomorrow night's show is how come nobody asks Gruden the tough questions at these press conferences? They let him off the hook. That's why I'm trying adamantly to get press credentials for some of these post game, because I will be the one asking those questions. These 3 tight end formation questions. Why you don't stick to running the ball? Why you always throwing players under the bus and got to look at film when we lose, but when we win, you standing there with your chest poked out like you the man. So I'm gonna ask Diane, how come none of these reporters are asking him these tough questions? Because these are things that I want to know. I ask these questions every week on the show. I write about it every week, and can't nobody give me an answer. And I want to know because this man has been here long enough to should understand football 101. Running the ball, time possession, and solid defense wins games. That's what it comes down to, point blank. Let's see. We got Steve trying to give him a chance. That's in my opinion, they're not giving Pryor and Doxson a chance. When you get in Jay's doghouse, it's hard to get out. We can say that with Preston Smith. He was in his doghouse for 2 years. Now that he finally getting some go, he averaging almost a half a sack a game.
What's that?
They got me drinking all my liquor over here, Ken. Let's see. We got Nina saying he isn't worth. He'd rather have awesome receivers, so quarterback, and yeah, but then you have Kurt. He knows the offense. He knows how to play, and the offensive line. You saw what he did with the offensive line last year when it was healthy, blocking. Put up over 4,000 yards and had another a good year. So, I mean, he's the best option we have right now. I like Nate Sudfeld. Eagles picked him up. Colt, we know what he is. Look like we lost Ken. Let me see if I can get him back. Let's So yeah, he's the best he's the best option we have right now. Oh, that's Robbie jumped in. We must have lost Ken and Robbie chimed in. What's going on, Robbie? You having a hell of a session
We
talking about this loss right here. What you got to say about this loss, man?
Yeah, I thought I would jump in. I saw that Ken jumped out. We're having some technical difficulties, so I thought I would chime in with some of my thoughts. I've been watching all the comments fly by, and there's been a lot of good conversation back and forth by a lot of people. And I think they're making a lot of good points. I know that Mina keeps on saying that Garcon, is the key. I don't think we had the money to upgrade our defense if we had kept some of those players. We talked about that a couple of times on our show, but there's definitely a lot of some good thoughts and comments there. Hi, Victoria. And my quick take is obviously we talked about it a little bit at halftime. That blocked field goal had a huge momentum swing, but we had opportunities come back in this game. I find that he seems to throw an interception, in these moments in more games than not. So I'd like to see Kirk Cousins get some more of these game-winning drives, game-tying drives, things like that. I know that it was deflected. It's not all on him. A couple of missed and dropped, balls in the second half. Kirk Cousins, some of those passes didn't look great. The weather was pretty bad. I don't want to blame it on the weather, but at the same time, some of those balls, I think if they were dry and we aren't fighting the rain and the wind and all that we would catch a couple more of those. But in those circumstances, we got to stick to the run. You got to look at what Dallas did. They stuck to the run, and they were able to do it. They beat us by more runs than they had passes, and I think that was a key thing for them, something that we needed to do. I'm mad that we cut Mac Brown. I was hearing part of that conversation, but we've got other running backs, and we got to use all the weapons we have available. Even if we use Pryor as some sort of decoy or maybe a crazy like a passing play or a run option or try to use him in different situations, I think that would be helpful. I did want to point out real quickly, I've been posting the scores in the comments below. The Wizards are crushing it right now. So there is some teams that are in Washington that are playing up to their potential. We just went up 108-76 with 2 minutes left, and I know we'll talk about that more on tomorrow's show. We got a big game for the Capitals coming up later tonight. We haven't done well in these back-to-backs, but if we could get a big win over the Flames, that would be huge as well. So I'm hoping for some of these DC victories to make me feel a little better. It's going to be a rough couple of weeks for us. We've got some big games coming up. I know we'll preview them tomorrow on the show. But it's frustrating because these injuries to the offensive line have obviously changed our game plans a bunch, and our defense also not having some of these playmakers on it was difficult. I thought, all things considering, with all the things that were going wrong with us throughout the game, the fact that we were in it at the end with only a one-possession game gave me hope that I thought that we played pretty well. I think it'll be easy to look at the box score and pick apart some of the things that were a mistake, and in the end we lose by 2 touchdowns. But I don't know if it was as lopsided of a loss as the box score might show. I think that there were some good things. I thought some of these offensive line replacements did well at times. I agree that Kirk Cousins needs to throw the ball away in moments. And I think that we really need to do, either read option or trying a couple of different things with multi-back formations. Just try a couple of different things in there to mix it up a bunch. I think we were getting a little bit too predictable down the end. And so I think it's been tough for us for sure. My friend Mike Lazaro is talking about how it's been a terrible week, and tonight made it worse. I think a lot of people are very frustrated with how the Redskins are doing. And I think that there's a lot that we could do going forward that could make it better. But I really do appreciate all the comments and people chiming in. I think that they're making a lot of good points. I hope that we're able to right the ship because I was scared when we lost to the Eagles that it would start to snowball a little bit for us. And, it's really important that we sort of stop this at a 2-game losing streak and get back on the winning ways. If we can get it back to 4-4 next week with a win, it would change a lot for this season. So I think that we really got to settle down, maybe get some more offensive linemen in, hopefully get them off of, waivers or something, because we need some more bodies in there again, or hopefully some of the guys that were hurt can come back. And I see that Ken Washington says that he appreciated having him on, and he'll hopefully join us tomorrow for part of the Redskins talk as well. I know that we've got a lot of people who want to be a part of that conversation, so we'll see how many people we can get in there, and we really appreciate Ken for joining us in this post game. And I think, Carol, you've brought up a lot of great points, and I'm happy to say that the Wizards are able to win this game. It looks like it's going to be 110 to 83. So at least there's something good in Washington happening right now. Hopefully the Redskins can get on the winning ways again next week.
True. Let me get to some of the comments. Steve Dickens said he's frustrated, thought we would have had done well tonight. Yeah, I did too, but I knew it was a long shot with all the injuries on the offensive line. You know, I knew it was going to be a tough uphill battle with Dallas having a game plan of running the ball and wearing down our defense, knowing that Jay, you know, wouldn't stick to the run. Yeah, they did well, Victoria, but like you said, the defense got tired. True that. Yeah, it does hurt worse because it's back-to-back games and it's a division game. So now we're 0-3, so chances of winning division are basically out the window now. So not saying we would, but now it's basically almost impossible for the team to win. Meaning we can still afford losses, but we can't afford none, you know, coming up next week against Seattle. I don't know how we're going to pull that one off.
It's going to be tough. Seattle played a crazy game, crazy back and forth. I think
that game against Houston.
Yeah, I think they ended up winning it like 41 to 38 or something. Some crazy number.
Yeah.
Back and forth, just down. I think the last touchdown was scored with 20 seconds left or something. That was a crazy game. I'm happy I picked Seattle in my pick'em, so I was happy with the victory. But it was nuts, and they always play a super tough, whether it's in Washington or the other, Seattle, Washington. I believe it's going to be a road game, so we've never played well out there, so it'll definitely be huge. I think at this point we got to aim for the wild card, so we got to beat other NFC teams. The division I think is now probably escaped us with going 0-3. We'd have to hope for a lot of other teams to beat each other up in a very specific way. So I don't think we're going to have the division for sure, but there's still a chance of the wild card, so we got to find a way to do that. And so I'm sure that we'll break that down a little bit more, hopefully with all of our different Redskins guests in hour 2 of episode 75 tomorrow, starting at 8 o'clock on Monday. But I know that we'll talk about this big Wizards win and the Capitals in the first hour at 7 o'clock. So it'll be a big show for sure on tomorrow's podcast. And then we'll have the Pick'em segment just after that at 9 o'clock as well. So I'm hoping that some of these people that have chimed in and had great comments will tune in. I know that we'll do a bunch of Facebook Lives for that. We'll probably do one for the Capitals, maybe a different one for the Wizards, have one for the Redskins, and then obviously one for the Pick'em as well. So we'll have a couple of different Facebook Lives as well. So, it could have been worse. I thought all things considered, we kept it close at times. But I was disappointed, obviously, because you never want to lose to your biggest rival. And, of course, I always have Cowboys fans chirping me whenever we lose. So that's always makes it sad. It's a bummer because I put on the Cowboys killer jersey, but it wasn't, I put it on at halftime hoping that it would change things around, but it wasn't meant to be. But hopefully we'll find a way to get some victories in these next couple of games. That'll be really important, especially this one upcoming against Seattle, but then also Minnesota at home the following week. We'll need to start to beat up on some of these other NFC teams to get any chance at that wild card.
Yeah, Victoria says moving the ball gives energy because we had the run game and they would block their ass off instead of being with another pass block. And I mentioned that over again. Yeah, you're right, Keith. The coaches aren't good with in-game adjustments. Victoria, no problem, man. We don't, discriminate. We know women love the game. We appreciate you chiming in and tuning in. That's why we love doing our show. That's why we DC Sports Out of Politics. We don't care. What sex, race, or whatever. Sports come on and talk to us. I just finished up my Remy 1738, and it's Sunday, so can't get no more. I gotta wait till tomorrow to get some more, so I'm just stuck with the Budweiser for the rest of the night. Jonathan, I keep on explaining, it's market value. That's what the market is asking. You can go to Lexus. If you don't think that car's worth $40,000, they're not going to give it to you for $20 because the asking price is $40 because that's what the market is asking for. He's not going to sell it for less. The Redskins have no other option. He has the leverage. That's reality of it, point blank. Can't do nothing else about it. Simple as that. Why do they keep taking Fat Rob out? Because Jay Gruden doesn't like sticking with the run. Simple as that. Yeah, it's going to be rough tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be Yeah, Chantel is passing too. That's coming up. I'll probably reshare my article that I wrote a couple of years back about him. Yeah, it's going to be a rough week. Oh, Robbie phone died. See if we get him back in. Well, Steve, I mean, nobody's saying that Fat Rob is the answer, but you got to at least give him a chance to get warm and get into the game and get going. By giving somebody 3 or 4 carries in 2 quarters, you don't have a chance to get going and show what you can do. And then when you telegraph and the other defense knows that you're just running just because, you giving your running back no chance. And then when you have going in 3 wide receiver set, trying to run out of with Jordan Reed, who is not a good blocker, you're setting yourself up for failure. That's why I always tout the 3 tight end formation is the perfect set for us. You can run out of it, you can pass out of it, and we excel in the play action game. You see when they go to it, what happens. They went to the 3 tight end formation on the first score. Touchdown, and they got it. So, I mean, you don't have to be a superstar running back in this league to be effective running the ball and controlling the clock. That's what it comes down. So you don't have to get the home run all the time. As long as you're getting 3 and 4 yards steady, you moving the chain, you moving that offensive line, push off on them defensive linemen and wear them down like we see gets done to our defense week in and week out. I'm just amazed that Jay doesn't see the same damn thing and say, hey, it works because it's beating us. Why don't I trade the same damn thing? But common sense ain't common, and Jay is Jay, and unfortunately I'm doing a podcast and he making the $5 million a year.
Right.
What can I do?
Sounds good. Sorry, my phone died, so I went and grabbed my old phone to see if I could join back in. But I see some of the comments of some of my friends. John Benson said they'd rather pay Colt McCoy $20 million less for a similar performance. I don't doubt that. I think Colt McCoy isn't at quite the same level, but if it doesn't bankrupt our team and we're able to use 15 to 20 million to sort of shore up a couple of the other positions, it might not be a bad idea, at least for a year or two, to try to figure it out. Cousins hasn't been shown that he's worth $25 million, and if we have to franchise tag him again at 30 plus, he's definitely hasn't shown that he's worth that. And it sucks because I actually really like Colt McCoy, I like Kirk Cousins, so I think that's. It's definitely tough for me. I definitely don't blame him completely for this loss. I think we don't put him in the best situations. So, Kirk is definitely better, as Benson is pointing out. And I agree with it. But the question is if we try to improve all of our other positions, spend $2 or $3 more million dollars in each sort of, whether it be the offense, the defense, and the special teams, would we actually get a better result overall? And I don't know. So it's not up to me to make the
we're looking at it
decisions.
like we need to totally overhaul the team. You got to look at it. You got Josh Doctson, who's a second-year, third-year wide receiver who hasn't really seen the field. You got Terrell Pryor, who's a fifth-year player, third-year wide receiver who's trying to develop. You have a young tight end that you have a 5-year extension that gets nicked up. You got an old veteran tight end that's been steady. You got Niles Paul. You got depth at running back. So, everything isn't always going to click at the same time. Sometimes you have to ride things out and not always change up things because they aren't working at that moment. And that's the one thing that we have to have patience sometimes. And I see everybody talking about the quote of Bruce Allen, we're winning off the field, and everybody's blowing him up about that, yada, yada, yada. But if you understood football, you would know what he means by that. If you think back a few years ago when we had these garbage players on the team that when they got cut, they was bagging groceries and nobody picked them up. Now you got people picking up our scraps and they're starting on their teams. So all of this stuff thrown at that Bruce Allen is starting to get on my nerves because if y'all could do his job better, you wouldn't be flipping fries and burgers at McDonald's. You'll be in the front office. So all of this hate for these players for whatever reason or for the front office for whatever reason, get your mind right. We have money under the salary cap. Our team has gotten better. They've drafted better. We got rookies starting that's playing well. So before y'all get all this gloom and doom stuff and we suck and all this and that, you got to take a step back and remember where we were a few years ago, where we didn't have these good things we could talk about, where we were getting blown out and embarrassed all the time. Remember the Eagles game on Monday night when Vic embarrassed us by himself? We haven't had that one time this season. But yet and still, folks want to still with that gloom and doom. If you don't like what's going on, get off the ship because I'm tired of talking to you. I'm tired of talking you off the ledge. Either enjoy the team of what's going on and sit back and stop getting in your feelings and getting butthurt about everything, and realize it's a team sport. It's not about one player. It's not about one coach. It's about the team working together and coming together and winning. And that's what happened today with the Cowboys. They had adversity just like we did. They came together as a team and they won. It ain't no jinx. It ain't no curse. It's playing on the field and playing together as a team. Point blank.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, to me, the injuries and the conditions were as big a factor as anything in today's game. I know we didn't get blown out. I thought we actually played a pretty good game for moments. I mean, we had an opportunity in many situations where we held them to 3, where they could have scored touchdowns and blew us out of the water. So I thought that our defense played well at times, got off the field. You know, we obviously talked about, play balance and things like that. I keep on seeing in the comments that people say that we're got rid of 2,000-yard receivers. For me, it's not about that. If we get the ball thrown into the right places, a Josh Doxson, a Terrell Pryor, they're more than serviceable. I'm not saying that they're the next Pierre Garçon, but I don't know if we necessarily need that. And I'm not sure that giving money to these receivers that are aging is that necessarily the answer. Like, maybe they would have been good this year, but how much money are you going to pay for an aging receiver? Because we definitely know that over the next couple of years, their speed is definitely going to be diminished. And I'd rather invest in our defense and invest in our future, invest in our offensive line, and hopefully that even if this year isn't a year, that we can use it sort of as a rebuilding year, not necessarily say this year is written off already, but we could build for the future and see what playmakers we have. We got a lot of players on one-year contracts. I'm not sure Terrell Pryor was the player that we thought he was. Maybe he surprised a bunch of people, but now people can game plan for him. But I'm not convinced that he's necessarily the biggest problem either. I think we could use him in different situations, use him in trick plays. He could throw the ball. I'm not necessarily saying that I want him throwing the ball, but there's definitely options and option plays. And, what happens if it's an option handoff to him and then he can throw out of it? I mean, there's things that you could do with him that I haven't even seen us try. So I think that we're just been playing a very vanilla offensive playbook, and it hasn't really been, doing a whole lot. We get some major yardage on some screen plays. I saw some good things with Jamison Crowder actually out of the backfield. I kind of liked what we were doing with him, with actually handing off the ball to Jamison Crowder. He was definitely our number one star in my mind of the game on the offensive side. There's a lot of things that we could be doing and a lot of plays that we could be trying, maybe some trick plays, maybe something else. I don't know. I just feel like we're doing a lot of the same things over and over again and beating our heads against the wall saying, why aren't we just trying a couple of different things? I think at the end of games even, Kirk Cousins passing down to the middle of the field is the play that he does every single time. And more often than not, it's been picked off. And I know that it was deflected slightly, and I know that that's not all on Kirk Cousins. But at the same time, we're putting him in these situations where you have to pass. Everyone knows what's happening. And it's definitely, it's not fooling anybody. And it's definitely frustrating.
All right, let me get to some of these comments. Anthony Salvatore, yeah, it is watching this hard losing constantly, but like I say, it's not like we're getting blown out. They're in the games, it's coming down to it. They went flat for a quarter. That's been an issue for a while. They haven't played 60 minutes, but they're in the game. They had a chance. Last drive was disappointing and ugly, but what can you do? Like Robbie said, they know you passing the ball. They're gonna pin their ears back and try to get to the quarterback and send 6 when you only got 5 to block. Jonathan asked, how do we improve conditioning and training? I'm not sure. They changed up the whole conditioning staff last year. We had injuries, but we didn't have the rash that we have now. So, I mean, I don't know what the answer is right now, Jonathan, because I thought that we, pretty much had a decent season last year with injuries. We had a few guys that went down on IR, but most of the guys came back. This year, we just taking them all, and with that early bye week is just compounding it all. So, Steven, yeah, people going to complain and cry, but they're going to tune in even though they say they're not. Because if you're a true fan, you're going to be with a team win, lose, or draw. What's up, buddy? Yeah, appreciate it. I'm just saying what I feel, man. I see it every week. Win or loss, somebody always complaining about something. Ted said we let our foot off the gas when they had the lead. Yeah, well, that block field goal, I was saying we were settling for 3 points instead of trying to get touchdowns, and that block field goal, unfortunately, changed the momentum of the game, and, we saw what happened. Jamie says he think with all the injuries, we're talking Super Bowl, not with KC as our quarterback. It's too early to say anything about a Super Bowl with this team. You guys still have some holes, still got some coaching stuff that needs to be handled. I wouldn't put us in the Super Bowl category. Jonathan also says Tampa not going to get their money worth out of D-Jax. I agree on that. That's why I really wasn't tripping when he left. Sean says Doxson is a bust. I don't agree. Takes sometimes some receivers 3 years to get acclimated to the NFL. This only his second season actually being healthy, not even second full season. So we got depth at wide receiver. Give him a chance to develop before you call him a bust. First pick, the team are never going to get a first pick for running back, Steve. That just doesn't happen anymore. I think our first pick should be on defense again. I would love to have a playmaking safety that can, cause turnovers and is a ball hawk. That's what we've been missing since Sean's passing. The biggest problem is injuries this year. I agree with that. My cousin said the wide receiver just need the number called more to build confidence. Definitely agree with that. But Kurt is more comfortable with Jordan and with Vernon. And I was having a conversation with somebody talking about Kurt throwing in the tight windows. Unfortunately, Kurt has a more of a mindset as a game manager than a gunslinger. So he's more concerned about having a bad turnover than depending on his arm strength that he doesn't have, that we've already documented over and over again that he doesn't have the strongest arm. So I would rather him take the check down than try to force something in there and get a turnover. This week it was, he was getting hit when he had the turnover. So different circumstance, but you don't want your quarterback, trying to do things he can't do. Jonathan also said the playbook should be basic for the rookies and second-year players. I mean, you can dumb it down, and most of the time it is to an aspect. That's why they only have them in certain packages. So, but you have to start expanding them. The only way you're going to develop them is by getting them on the field. So, I mean, they got to get on the field. Greg says, they still in the playoff race, no doubt. I was just saying that they don't have a chance to win the division now, already losing the first 3 games. What's up, Coach? I see you back, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, Jonathan said stop throwing in the middle of the field with no timeouts left. Yeah, like I say, Kurt hasn't been himself the last couple of weeks. He hasn't been as sharp. His grandmother passed. He just had a baby. Maybe he's going through some emotional stuff. Who knows? But, when you get on that field, you got to wipe all that off. And he hasn't, in my opinion, the last 2 weeks, he hasn't taken that step above. Last week he had a good game stat-wise, but that was in garbage time when the game was pretty much already lost. I'm going to leave that one alone, Victoria. Jason, I agree. We need somebody else to call plays. What's going on? I ain't talked to you in a while. I want Bill Callahan to start calling plays. He's a old school coach who's going to stick to the running game. He knows offensive line because he's the offensive line coach, so he's going to let them boys push off the ball and run the ball and get the running backs a chance. I just think Jay's afraid to give him the reins because he knows that he's probably going to do a better job than him. Coach, yeah, Jay likes to throw the ball, and we don't have the O-line to give him time. Exactly. What's up, Victoria? Hey, man, I'm just calling it. I can't get too wicked on it. This is a family show that we have on Monday nights. The less you hit in practice, the more you get hurt in the game. Well, with the CBA, Coach, they can't hit no more. They aren't allowed to hit. No tackling drills or nothing in the practices or training camp. So only time they get a chance to hit is in the game. So that's why you see so many more missed tackles now. Thanks, James. We try to, we love our sports, man. We've been doing this for a while now. We appreciate all y'all love and support. We study our teams. We study our, study all the film like they do on TV, man. We just give it to you real, uncut. DC sports are the politics, man. It's not just a motto or catchphrase. That's what we do. 2-12, they within 6 and won 7 in a row. I'm hoping they get it together, man, because, we need to go on a run, but we got a hell of a tougher schedule, too. You got to go to Seattle and got Minnesota back-to-back, 2 tough, hard-hitting defenses. So, and we already hurt. So just temper your expectations. I'd be happy to go 1-1 in those next 2 games, honestly. For us being banged up and short staff, I think we did okay. Yeah, it was still a good game. We weren't out of it. They didn't give up. They went flat for a little while with that 19-0 run that Dallas went on, but they got a score late, unfortunately, with enough time to tie the game. And unfortunately, that missed extra point, kind of took some of the momentum out of the team. But it is what it was. It is what it is. I mean, Ted. Hey, appreciate it, man. I'm glad you tuned in, man. That's why we do this, man, because we know everybody not in the area like we are don't get all the good Redskins. Well, get all the Redskins because they're not going to say good. But we want to bring y'all the best coverage we can, man. Like I said, tune in tomorrow night. We got Diane Cheeseborough on in the 8 o'clock hour, Redskins Talk. She's a Redskins insider. She's at the park every day. She's not one of these folks that's there once a week and swear they know what's going on. She's there every day. If you follow her on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, you see she's showing what the limited amount of practice film she can show. She's putting it out there every day. That's why we love having her on our show, because we know we're getting that uncut inside information, not getting them call-ins that they probably calling the water boy or the towel boy as their anonymous source. You know they always got anonymous sources. We give you our sources because our sources are out there. She writing for USA Today about the Redskins, y'all. You know, whatever podcast has that? Nobody. That's why we say our network is better than yours, because can't nobody touch us. They might get more listens. They might have more likes than we got, but they don't do it like we do it. Steve Wolf, yeah, safety. Yeah, I was a defensive coach. Safety is a very pivotal position on the defense. If you have some outstanding safeties, that's going to make your defense so much more better. Fred says Pryor is a bust, but Dawson has definitely got potential. Chris Thompson is still beasting. How can you consider Pryor a bust, and it's only his third season at being wide receiver, and he's been a quarterback his whole life? You got to give him a chance to develop. That's like when you start your job. You don't get it off the break. You're going to make mistakes. They're human. They're not computers. They're not like the video games. It's not like Madden. You can't just hit the button and think they're going to do what you're supposed to do. They got to learn just like we do. They're human. They're just humans that make a lot of money and run real fast. That's it. Victoria said, good point. You know, use them for what we can do. Exactly. All right, Robbie, appreciate it. You know, I figured you had to take care of something. You busy man. Coach said a few times in the game we could have scrambled. Yeah, I don't know if you're worried about the money, Coach. I just think that his head not in the game with everything that's been going on. He's been on an emotional roller coaster having his first kid, then losing his grandmother last week. Hopefully he can shake it off and get himself together, because this game in Seattle ain't going to be no joke. Says Steve said we need a good cover safety. I think Nicholson's a good safety. I don't think he got hurt. I saw him make some plays, but I think they were using him sparingly because he did get shaken up last week. Ted agrees, yeah, the run opens up everything. Yeah, it definitely does. Trent, he's been injured for a while. That his knee is just, I think, swole up to the point where he wasn't going to be good to go, and that's going to be a concern for next week. But them having to make that long flight over to Seattle, that's going to be a major concern for the injured guys with making that long trip, being on a plane for 3 hours, being in them small seats. You know, guys with knee and leg injuries, that's a bad combination for them. Jonathan said we go one of the next few games. I'll be happy too, man. You know, because they got to be one of them. Seattle was a long shot because we know how the luck we have in that stadium. Minnesota at home, we know how we always go down to the last possession with them. 1-1 would be great. 2-0 would be fantastic. But let's be honest, 1-1. Let's shoot for 1-1. Yeah, I think he needs. I think it's his MCL sprain, so it's not something that he can't play. But I just think with the weather, with it being rainy and cold, it probably swelled up more than they wanted, more comfortable with him trying to be out there. Damn, Ianitis might be out. Thanks, cuz I missed that breaking news. I actually turned off the post game and have the Wizards game on. Appreciate that heads up. That'd suck because Ianitis been playing his butt off. I mentioned earlier how I've been eating my words and saying that he wasn't going to pan out. He's been having a hell of a season. What's up, Carlton? I ain't hollered at you in a minute, man. I told you we wrapped a little while ago. Got some stuff in the works. We got to talk some more. Ianitis has been playing his butt off. Yeah, Sean, I want Callahan to start calling the game, man. I'm tired of Jay's play calls, honestly, because I've been sitting here and called most of these plays, and in the second half he got so predictable. I was calling the plays before they even lined up in the formation. Yeah, James, a game against the Saints won't be easy, but they done won 5 in a row, and they back to scoring like they were before. So, yeah, there's definitely gonna be some pivotal games coming up for the Redskins. I'm about to jump off because I got to get ready to start working on my article for the quick takes of this game. So I got to get that up, get ready for the big 75th anniversary, 75th episode of the Sports on the Hill podcast tomorrow. Like I was saying, 7 o'clock we got Caps coverage. We got a special call-in guest from another hockey podcast. 7:30, we're going to talk Wiz. 8 o'clock after our music break, we're going to have Diane Cheeseborough on, talking Redskins, breaking down the Eagles game and the Eagles and the Cowboys losses. And 8:30, 8:45 time slot, we're going to have the boxing expert Paul Smith calling in, talk about the Joshua fight and the state of boxing and the big fights that's coming up after the results of those. So be sure y'all tune in. We're going to have the Facebook Live simulcast as usual, either from my page or Robbie's page or the Sports on the Hill podcast page. Just stay tuned. So much more. Sports on the Hill podcast, DC Sports Without the Politics, True Radio Network. Our network is better than yours. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate all the love. Thanks, cuz, man. Appreciate it. Jamie, appreciate it, man. We do this, so we do it because we love it. Stay tuned. You know, the Wizards just went off. They just beat Sacramento handily, you know, after they dropped the ball against Golden State and the Lakers. It was good to see them come back and get a victory. Caps won last night, coming back from the 2-0 deficit to Edmonton. They got Calgary in about 26 more minutes of puck going drop. So I'll be tuning in that. Stay tuned. I'll probably have some video or something from that game. Might even do a Facebook Live video after the game if we can salvage this road trip and go 2-2. We got 3 days off before we get to for the Islanders come to town on Thursday after the night. So, you know, Redskins started out with a loss. Wizards got a win. Let's hope the Caps can bring it home with a victory tonight. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Y'all have fun. Be safe. And don't get too low about this loss tonight. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Love you. Appreciate it. Y'all be easy.